Hello and welcome to Calm the Pharm podcast, where pharmacy business meets legal wisdom, minus the headache. In each episode, we share practical legal tips and real-life examples to help you run your pharmacy with confidence. I'm your host, Sarah Stoddart. Thanks very much for joining us. Welcome back to another episode of Calm the Pharm podcast. Today, I'm really keen to have a further discussion around partnership agreements or partnership deeds, because all too often in practice, I'm seeing people coming to us with an issue only to then find out they don't have a partnership agreement in place. Automatically, this usually adds time, stress, cost to their matter, because in the absence of a partnership agreement, nothing is certain, and the worst case scenario is not very pleasant at all. If a partnership agreement had been in place, there's usually a pathway forward. It is clear, and even though there are some bumps in the road along the way as we follow that pathway, it is much easier to navigate. I'm really curious to understand why it is that so many business owners in partnership are foregoing the need to do a partnership agreement, or perhaps there's other reasons behind why it is that they are not putting a partnership agreement in place. Is it lack of time? Is it not knowing where to start? Is it cost? I'm genuinely curious about this and keen to make a change, so I'd appreciate any comments or feedback as to why it may be that the absence of partnership agreements is so prevalent. From my perspective, I see people insure their homes, insure their health, insure their pets. They even insure their business, but they're not insuring, in inverted commas, the biggest or potentially the most risky relationship they have in their lives, which is that relationship they have with their business partner. I often say to people that getting out of a partnership or a partnership breakdown is worse than getting out of a marriage in terms of what is involved if things aren't in place. And in that regard, we even see people with prenups and the like in place, but still no partnership agreement. Now, why is this such a bugbear of mine, and why is it so important to have a partnership agreement in place? Well, I've already touched on the bugbear, and that is because people come to us when there's an issue, and whilst I'm more than happy to help them, the pathway is not clear, it is not certain, it is time consuming, costly, stressful, etc., etc. I don't like seeing people in that situation. So why is it so important to put a partnership agreement in place? Well, partnership agreements do a lot of things. Sure, they do the things that aren't particularly exciting, like documenting when your partnership meetings are going to be, what constitutes a quorum of a meetings, which bank you're going to bank with, what your partnership's going to be called. That's not particularly exciting, but the provisions that I really care about and that I really work with clients on are those around the rights of the partners while they're in the business, and importantly, the ability to exit the partnership. Now, I know that sounds really strange given that we're often negotiating partnership agreements or preparing partnership agreements at the commencement of the partnership relationship. However, I am always looking for what does the exit look like for a partner and what will trigger that exit to occur. Sometimes an exit is very straightforward. It may just come about because circumstances in life change or someone chooses to retire, be it because of their age or other circumstances. But there are other times exits can come around due to something quite unfortunate, like maybe disciplinary proceedings, criminal activity, insolvency, etc., of a partner. And unfortunately, in those circumstances, that partner may be expelled from the partnership, and the partnership agreement deals with an exit. Where we see the most focus, though, is a partnership that is ending or the relationship is breaking down because of an issue that's come up between the partners. So it may be that one partner isn't running the business properly. The other partner is concerned about how that is going. Maybe there's an irretrievable breakdown of the relationship between the partners. And where you have this sort of grey area where there hasn't been a clear-cut behaviour or conduct, that is where the ability to exit becomes so important, because the partnership agreement usually steps out what happens if these kind of events occur, what the partners have to do, and then the options available to them. Maybe one partner needs to make the other partner an offer to buy their interest or to sell their interest. Maybe it is that the whole business is sold, and if the whole business is sold, the agreement usually goes on to provide how the value of the business is going to be determined, who's going to list it on the market, and the sale process that will follow from then. Another really important clause in partnership agreements, which ties into this exit or relationship issue between partners, is that of a dispute resolution clause. So a dispute resolution clause is exactly how it sounds. It sets out how any disputes between the partners are going to be resolved, and it's usually quite prescriptive. It usually sets out different tiers, I suppose, or steps that need to be taken by the partners to resolve disputes. And the great thing about that is it actually then gives a process which will ultimately lead to an outcome. Hopefully that's an outcome that is reached between the partners themselves. But if it's not, it's an outcome where there is a decision maker, and the person who is going to be that decision maker has already been determined. That means you're not in a situation where the partners are in dispute and they can't even decide what colour the sky is because they're just not prepared to agree on anything. So it's these reasons and many more that partnership agreements are just oh so important. And look, I often say to clients, the best partnership agreements are the ones that are done and sit in the bottom drawer, because that means your partnership is going really well. However, if things take a turn, you want to be able to pull that document out of the bottom drawer and have a clear process that follows. And as we spoke about in episode 1, it may not be a turn between the partners' relationship, but you've also got to factor in unexpected events like death of a partner or disability of a partner, or these sort of unfortunate things. So you really need to put these agreements in place for nothing else other than peace of mind. I really strongly encourage people to make the investment early in the partnership relationship. A reason why that's important, not only so that you have this document in place, is because if there is an issue with negotiating the partnership agreement at the beginning of the relationship, it may just be a sign for things that are to come. If you and your partner, particularly if you're a junior going into an existing business with a senior, are unable to agree on things at the start of the relationship, it tends to signal that it may be the sign that the relationship isn't the best one for you to be going into. So in a way, negotiating the partnership agreement at the start of the relationship is also a test of the relationship and how things are going to follow. Now, before we conclude this episode, and it is a bit longer than our others because you can hopefully see why I'm so passionate and curious around this area, I thought I'd just touch on some other clauses that we would commonly see in a partnership agreement that are worth considering if you're looking to put one in place. One is leave entitlement. So this is something that unless a partner is employed as an employee in the business, a partner typically doesn't have leave entitlements. So how are you going to deal with that? What leave can the partners take? How often can it be taken? What is the leave entitlement? What happens if someone wants to take more leave than what's in the document? Are there any periods of time where leave can't be taken, such as over the Christmas period? That's something to consider. Another thing to consider is whether loan repayments and dividends, how they tie together. So if someone is getting a partnership payment, sometimes referred to a dividend, but a partnership payment or a profit payment, does that need to be applied to the loan first, or is that something that the person can use the money as they see fit? How often are those payments going to be made? And that is also important in the context of repaying back any debt. Other clauses that are important are decision making, particularly where you might have a partner who is absent from the business. So, what decisions require all partners to agree unanimously, which decisions require majority decision making, which decisions can be made on the run, I suppose, in the course of day-to-day business. Is there a decision maker who can veto decisions in the event of a disagreement? All of these sort of things, really, really important. So to wrap up, as you can tell, I'm really strongly encouraging anyone in a partnership relationship to think about, do you have a partnership agreement in place? If you don't, why not? And what is stopping you from putting you in place? After all, a small investment in costs and time now could really save you a great deal of time, cost and stress down the track. I really appreciate your comments on this one, so please feel free to drop me a line. And if you're enjoying our Calm the Pharm podcast, please also feel free to give us a rating wherever you're listening. Until next time, take care.